Plaintiff Marie Stidham is suing her daughter, Patricia Taylor, for unpaid loans and a phone bill. Marie says Patricia started acting out after she was sexually abused as a young child. Patricia says she and her mother were abused by the same man, and then Patricia was sent to live with him, where she was sexually abused at the age of 9.
All rise. The Honorable Judge Jeanine Pirro presiding. You may be seated.
Mary Stidham is suing her daughter for an unpaid phone bill and unpaid loans. Her daughter, Patricia Taylor, is here today. Marie, why don't you tell me why you're suing your daughter?
I'd like to really start at the beginning of how, this all got to this point. Patty is my youngest of 7 children. And her father left, when I had all 7 of the kids. I tried to do my best to bring them up the best I could. Patty was kind of like a handful right from the beginning. But in the beginning, it was a cute handful. And I didn't realize it was going to get a little worse for her. When she was 9 years old, I ended up having to go have surgery. So I sent them to go live with. But when they got back, my daughter Patty was not Patty anymore. She was a completely different person. She was withdrawn. She dyed her hair black. She did things in her bedroom like drew skulls and.
So when she comes back, she dyes her hair black. She puts skulls on a wall. Her behavior changed.
And pentagrams on the floor, and she just seemed like she was a very angry person.
What did it tell you?
It told me something was wrong. I did what I could as far as discipline goes and stuff like that, but I didn't want to be too hard on her because I knew something was wrong. It got to the point, where she started drinking and doing drugs.
How old was she at this point?
She was about 13, 14. One night she was drunk. And she told me, she says, Mom, she goes, I'm going to tell you something. She goes, I'm going to tell you why I'm so mad at you. And she proceeded to tell me that her had molested her. There's nothing I can do to take that back, that part of her life back. And I would if I could.
Patricia, talk to me.
Well, my mom's not really too much of a saint herself. When we were young, we knew that she didn't love herself. I don't think she could care for us. A lot of times we defended for ourselves. And, it just got to the point where a lot of us felt very, very lonely.
Well, there were 7 of you. Did you work or no?
No, my husband wouldn't let me work.
Well, he wasn't there. You said you raised them yourself.
I ended up remarrying. I remarried.
Okay.
That was my stepfather. He raised us, but he was on the road all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my mother did defend for all of us when it came to discipline and things like that. I'm not here to diss my mother. I love her.
What happened, Patricia?
As I was growing up, there was a lot of anger in the house. There was a lot of depression. We all really didn't like each other. And she would tell us stories about her ex, about how he would beat her, and about how he would do things to her. So we were scared of this man. I never met him, never knew him, never wanted to. We used to have nightmares, whatnot. And for some reason, she sent me off.
To him.
To this horrible person. And that's where my life changed. I never knew really why she sent me off. I really thought that it was because she couldn't handle me. I don't know. And things happened. My innocence was taken. I ran away from the man. And he had found me. And the cops had shown up because he had a weapon on him. And they gave me an option because I was in a totally different state. And they said either you go home with him or you can go into what you call a child home. At that time, the person had sent me off back to my mother right away. I never understood why she sent me to this.
Why did you send her to him?
Well, because I went through a rough time with breast cancer surgery.
Look, Marie, it's hard to have sympathy for you right now. You know, there's a part of me that's really, you know, getting a little angry here. You know the guy's violent. You know what he did to you. And you're shipping off a 9-year-old who 20 years later is still suffering the effects.
Well, I mean, I know what he did to me, but I didn't dare think he'd do anything to my kids.
But isn't a violent man a violent man?
Do
you think that a man who hits a woman isn't a coward?
Well,
if a man is so much a coward, he's going to hit a woman, he's going to hit a kid too. How long were you there, Patricia? Do you remember?
I truly don't remember how long I was there. But I mean, I don't really blame her. You know, she had her surgeries, she had her illness, and I don't blame myself to this day neither.
Of course not. You didn't do anything wrong. He did. You did nothing. Mom. She comes back, changed behavior, classic symptoms of child sexual abuse. Classic, textbook.
Oh, I understand that, Your Honor. I understand that wholeheartedly. That's why I had to get to the root of the problem. Because after I got to the root to her problem, I found out that she wasn't the only one.
Where is this guy?
Every time the state catches him, he moves.
Hogwash.
Your Honor, I have been trying to find, he owes me $180,000 in child support. They can't even find him for that.
Well, you know what? Maybe if they looked for him for rape, they'd try a little harder.
Well, I've often asked my kids if they wanted to go through with that.
No,
Because
there's nothing to ask him. Why are you shaking your head?
When I was old enough, I almost pursued it, but then I didn't want to go through the humiliation again.
You know what's interesting is that for years, as a DA trying these kinds of cases, as a young prosecutor too, I would always talk to families and they would say, you know what, we'd rather just move on. But there's something about testifying and making someone accountable that is empowering, that is cathartic, that is therapeutic. He took power away from you. He controlled you. Sometimes it's good to give it right back. And you know what my concern is, Patricia? My concern is that a guy like this is not going to stop. He keeps getting away with it. This is a guy who needs to be stopped. I'm not trying to put the burden on you. And I'm not saying that I know more than you. You know yourself more than anyone knows you. And I'm very impressed with you because you came in and you said, I'm not blaming my mother. You know, and you've got to know not to blame yourself. Mm-hmm. There is an evil man who took advantage of you, and as you said so eloquently, took away your innocence. He is the man who needs to be made accountable. What did you do after this happened?
I started tattooing myself by myself in my room. And then at that point is when I started cutting myself. It wasn't for suicidal tendencies. I love life.
She's classified a cutter.
We call them markers. And I would cut really deep just to ease the pain.
What would you use?
Razors, glass.
And she'd call me every time it would happen, and I just wished there was something I could have done for her.
And once it started getting to the point where I was cutting myself, that's when I pulled her aside and told her what had happened. She never knew. When I first came home, she didn't know.
How long after you came home did you tell her?
A couple weeks, maybe a month.
It was a couple months, yeah.
Marie, you knew where he was to send the kids to him. When she told you, why didn't you send the police after him?
He actually did leave.
I did. I called the police.
How do you know he moved?
Well, because when he sent me back, the other kids came back too as well, and they had said that he was definitely packing and going.
You cut yourself.
I had told her, and then she did put me in a hospital to seek some medical attention, mentally and, of course, physically.
And you talked about what her ex did to you.
They sent me home 2 weeks later.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. You were suing her today for bail money?
Yeah, well, it's bail
And a
money,
telephone
fine
bill.
monies, checks that she...
What's the bail? What was that about?
Because I became an alcoholic. 6 months sober. and I had ended up getting a DWI at 8:30 in the morning. And I could not pay the fine, so they had arrested me, and that was my bail.
You called your mother and your mother bailed you?
Yeah.
Did you promise to pay your mother back?
I did tell her I would definitely pay her back.
Okay, how about the telephone bill?
The telephone bill.
Mom, give me the receipts.
After the divorce and all that other stuff, I had moved in with my mother. I had met someone on the internet who was definitely not local, and I was talking to this person at night while she was sleeping, and I rung her phone bill up.
How much?
I would have to estimate probably about 16.
1,600?
No, 1,600.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
I'm sorry. Did I say it right?
Do you have the bill, Marie?
No, I don't have the bill. I showed it to her, though.
Yes.
And then I tried to get another copy, and they said that, and also she wrote me out a receipt.
Let's see.
Let's see, right here.
Cost of bail, $650. Hey, Mom, I'm so sorry for raising your phone bill so high. I will pay you the $1,670 when I can. Again, I am sorry. Love, Patty. All right, so we've got $1,670, and then we've got cost of bail $950. But you got that back, right?
My bail was my fine amount. The only way that I could
So
get
that's
bail
just
out,
$950.
Yeah.
So you agree that you owe your mother the money?
Yes.
Okay.
There's other things here, too, Your Honor.
What else?
I loaned her $2,000 to, she went online to one of those things that guarantee you a loan if you pay them $2,000 up front, which I asked Patty not to do, and then I had
What's
to pay.
What's this for?
See, if you give these people $2,000,
What are they going to give you?
they
give
find
you
a
a
mortgage company that will.
There's these things on the internet.
Oh, this is ridiculous. You think if you give someone $2,000 to loan you money?
I believe it because I had to fax all my identification and everything over to them.
And that was another
And a pay
thing that
stub.
scared me.
Why would you loan her $2,000 for that?
I didn't know it was through the internet type
What
thing.
else?
And the other one was she had gotten a second DWI, which the fine was for $690.
Patricia, are you working?
I am currently employed.
What are you doing?
Fast food.
Good. That's good.
Well, she's
I'm
proud
going
of it.
back to college in January for my LPN.
Let me just say a couple of things. Self-injury, which is known as cutting or mutilation, it occurs when someone intentionally or repeatedly harms themselves. It is not uncommon, amazingly. I think that Angelina Jolie has talked about her self-cutting and the pain that she felt, and she said she was trying to feel something at the time that she was doing it. The method most often used is razors. They sometimes use broken bottles or whatever they can find to cut themselves. And most people hurt themselves to release emotional pain. It's a real indication that there is something very painful going on in their lives. And it is a form of self-punishment. And you were blaming yourself when you were cutting yourself, when you didn't need to do that. It wasn't about you. And it's estimated that 1 in every 200 girls between the ages of 13 and 19 actually cuts herself. The defendant also exhibited classic behavior of child sexual abuse. You went as an innocent girl and you came back a very troubled child. And for that, I feel for what you've gone through. And I'm also very proud of the fact that you're standing in front of me right now with a plan to go to college and 6 months sober. I think that we should congratulate Patricia for what she's been through and where she is right now. I applaud you. I do. The plaintiff is suing her daughter, the defendant, for unpaid loans, telephone bills. The truth is that the defendant has made it very clear that she had every intention of paying her mother. She admits that she owes her mother the money, and therefore my verdict is on behalf of the plaintiff. As far as I'm concerned, it's $4,600. Verdict for the plaintiff. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you.